friends, welcome to another episode of Becoming with Ketney. Now, this week, I was reflecting on something. I want to know, have you ever realized that you're becoming into your own person at the most random places? Because I thought becoming your own person would feel like this major life event. Instead, for me, that realization, it happened at the grocery store. Now, hear me out. When I first started grocery shopping for myself, when I moved out, I would go to places that were familiar. I would buy items that I was familiar with, items that my family bought when I used to live with them, or items that I noticed that was used often in my grandparents' home. I would also shop at familiar places. So it would be instinctual for me to shop at grocery stores that my family would shop at. And there came a point where I realized that I was repeating what I observed growing up. And I was choosing what was familiar rather than being consciously intentional about it. And because of that, I wasn't really making my own choices. Instead, I was making the choices that I inherited. But over time, I noticed that something started to shift. Something started changing. I started to read labels and of the items. I never used to look at ingredients, and now I do. That's my go-to. I compare products now. And I feel like I've evolved from just doing what was normal, what was the standard in my home growing up, versus being more intentional. I did more research in terms of what type of ingredients am I okay with? What type of store do I prefer to shop at? What quality of foods am I interested in buying? And I started thinking about what works for me, what I like, not because what my family did was wrong, but being more in tune with my personal preferences. That's just one example, but I realized that the older I'm getting, the more that I'm choosing things because I actually like them, because I'm intentional about them, rather than falling into the pattern of familiarity that you grew up with or that I grew up with. And I want you to realize that this is more than just grocery shopping and grocery stores. That's just an example. And when I was thinking about this topic, other examples could be decorating your home. You're learning your own aesthetic outside of what you grew up with. Another example could be how you manage your money. Everyone has different preferences. And you becoming your own person, you get to dictate that, be more intentional about that, than defaulting to what you observed. Other examples, you start creating routines, celebrating certain holidays a specific way, creating your own traditions. And little by little, you stop living someone else's blueprint and start creating your own definition of things. And by doing that, you ultimately start creating your own blueprint. That being said, that doesn't mean that everything that you're familiar with has to change. If you happen to agree with it and you happen to like it, great. That's completely fine. But I think what I'm talking about here is more of that intentionality, that conscious awareness of, am I getting this? Am I doing certain things because I truly want to, because I like it, or because this is what I'm used to? This is the way things have always been done in my family, or what I've observed growing up. When we were younger, we didn't have to think a lot about our choices. Food we grow up with is chosen for us. Our routine is essentially created for us as well. Traditions are essentially established and we just follow suit. Then adulthood arrives. And one of the biggest shifts in adulthood is realizing that someone else is no longer making the decision for you. And I think there's another emotional side of this too that I don't think we talk about enough. Wondering if you're abandoning tradition. Are there values in certain things, which there could be, and others there might not be. I think you need to take it and evaluate it on a case by case thing. And you can still appreciate where you came from and how you grew up while you evolve into your own life, into your own purpose. Because becoming your own person, it doesn't require rejecting where you came from. And maybe that's what growing up really is. Keeping some things and changing some things, questioning old assumptions, and creating your own version of adulthood. You can honor your upbringing without 100% copying it. You see, growth isn't always about becoming someone totally new. Sometimes it's discovering and realizing what was always uniquely yours. Maybe this is another quiet part of becoming in general. You see, identity forms through these small decisions. Adulthood is built through discovery, repetition, growth. Who we become shows up in these small everyday decisions. And oftentimes the person you're becoming is revealed through the choices that nobody else notices. So with that being said, here's your reflection for this week. What's something you do differently than your parents or your guardians? What's a preference that you developed that surprised you? And when did you first realize that you were making choices based off what you wanted rather than just familiarity? So maybe becoming your own person isn't one big breakthrough moment. Maybe it's 100 of different small decisions that slowly start looking more and more like you. And you see, one day you'll look around at the life you've built and realize that it's no longer just what you inherited, but instead it's what you've chosen. If you like this episode, remember to follow, like, and subscribe. Send me a fan mail and go to my link in bio. In there, you'll find a free reflection worksheet for you to think through some of these emotions, some of these realizations in our adulthood and on your journey of becoming. If you haven't already, share this with someone that you think might be interested, and I'll see you next time. Bye.